So we're going to talk about what you should do if you have a car accident and it wasn't your fault. What should you do?
Ooh.
That's good because
Yes.
you know what? I never know. You could hear something, you hear your friends and relatives tell you all this advice, but let's talk to the experts. What do we do?
Well, it basically takes experience, so you have to wreck your car a few times to understand what to do and what not to do.
And Brad, you have a lot of experience with this.
Oh yes, I have lots of the experience of what not to do.
What not to do.
As growing up wrecking the car.
In a perfect world, you have a car wreck. It's the other person's fault.
Right.
That person calls their insurance company and tells them about the wreck and says it's my fault. You know, that's what you would like to happen. That's hardly ever what happens. So that's why we thought we would give some tips. Okay.
All right.
So first thing, and you have to do this before you have the wreck, check your policy and see if you have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. If you don't, get a quote from your agent right away. Legally in Texas, you have to be offered the coverage and you have to sign to reject it.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people that we get their insurance because there was an accident, not one of our clients, but somebody else. They don't know what they have, you know, and so at the time, yeah, it's going to cost an extra $150. I don't want that, you know, and they don't know what they're signing away. So the description of uninsured and underinsured motorist is pretty obvious. You have an accident, it wasn't your fault, and the other guy doesn't have insurance.
A quick question on the insurance. As a state goes, we have our minimums.
That's
Do
correct.
most of the accidents you see, are the payouts close to that minimum? They always go over? or-
No, they usually don't get that.
Oh, okay. So,
Unless it
so
is-
in other words, we're pretty well protected when you get
Right, but it's
whatever
also
the recommendation is.
Well, we don't think you should carry minimum limits because if it's a bad accident, then
Yeah.
you're not going to
Yeah,
have no
it
coverage.
could ruin you
Right.
financially if it's yeah.
so like the state minimums in Texas are 30, 60, 25. So
Explain what that means.
30, 60, 25. So you have
I had a girlfriend that looked like that.
yeah.
odd shaped person, very odd shaped person.
She was 5'3", but that's okay. So you have 30,000 for bodily injury per person, 60,000 for bodily injury per accident, and 25,000 for property damage.
Oh, now that is low because
Yeah.
if you have 4 people in a vehicle, for instance, then that 60 is not going to cover.
Oh no! And not only that,
No.
how many vehicles do you see out there that are worth more than 25,000? And in Louisiana, which is even crazier, property damage down there minimum is $5,000.
And think about this too. If you have you hit somebody from behind and causes them to hit somebody and causes them to hit somebody, you know.
Oh.
But when I said we don't usually see it, the common claim that you get, it's not a major, horrible, people in the hospital, bad accident, you know. But it's for those times that it could be, is why we recommend the higher limits and even the umbrella that we've talked about before.
Right.
Because, yeah, and people have a misconception that, well, I don't, you can't get blood out of a turnip or whatever. No, but they'll take the turnip, and
Yeah.
judgment will last forever. So, so you need to look at those limits and everything. But, so, that's the first piece of advice that we have. And then, if the accident happens, okay, and some of this is going to sound obvious, stop and don't leave the scene, no matter what happens. So
Get the documentation
All right.
from a professional as soon as possible,
Yeah.
or at least witnesses. Because I know some cases the police officers don't even come out, do they? They don't have to come out if it's on private property.
On private property, that's correct. And so
Right.
if it's like in a parking lot, that's not public road, so they don't have to come out. You just exchange insurance and you go from there. But if it's, how often does it happen in just a parking lot? It mostly happens on public roads.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's when the cops will come out and take the scene and all that. But what will occur is you have an accident, people will just keep going. It happens.
it happens, yeah. And even, it's crazy, one time Rick and I were rear-ended in traffic and it hit us into a person in front of us and they left. They didn't stay, which who knows why. But anyway. so
Drugs.
And what I was going to say about the parking lot, because that happened to Rick and me. And the guy was, oh, I'm so sorry, until he got home and talked to his daughter, and then it wasn't his fault anymore,
Ah.
And what you should do if you have an accident on private property, call the police and see if they'll come out. But they can't write up a report.
Right.
But get the names of witnesses, take pictures, and what got us through that was United security footage.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I didn't
And
either.
almost every one of these big private
Oh, yeah.
places have the
That was
security
Rick. That
cameras.
was Rick's idea,
Yeah.
and they
Good
found
for
it.
him.
And they
Go Rick, hey, look at that.
So, but don't leave the scene. Never leave the scene of an accident. No
You
matter
know, I'm going to say something. Rick's accident a few weeks ago could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Both
Oh.
of them are blessed. that
Oh,
it
they
was-
are.
It was what it was.
They are.
So the next one, this is something that caught me. So don't apologize to the other party. It sounds odd, but apologizing can be construed as admitting guilt.
That's
So
interesting.
when I was in high school, I borrowed the company car and had an accident. Well, my first instance was to apologize. So I said sorry to the other lady. From me saying sorry, the cop took that as admission of guilt. Thus, the accident became my fault, even though the lady hit the side of my vehicle. I ended up with the at fault. So it might sound odd, but don't apologize. Make sure the other party's okay.
Yeah.
But-
You can say, "Are you hurt?" You know.
Don't say I'm sorry, because that will get you later.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So, and as we were talking about, don't leave the scene. Also, do your very best to leave the vehicles as they were until the police show up. Now, I know sometimes you can't do that, but try to. And if you can't, take lots of pictures before you move them. But the best thing is leave them just like they were, so that when the police get there, they can see kind of how it went down.
And also take pictures of any skid marks too.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's real important. I see the officers all the time evaluating what angle and all that.
Well, this
Okay.
next one is controversial.
Okay.
But you're gonna, if it's your fault or not your fault, call the police.
Okay.
Do not make a side deal with the person that, I hate to say it, but the person that hit you, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't want this to go on my record, blah, 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 well, I'll pay for it." By the time they get home and talk to their spouse or their kids or whatever, it wasn't their fault anymore. They changed their story. So even if it does mean, of course, this we're talking about if it's not your fault, even if it is your fault, call the police, because that person could have all kinds of other damage already to their vehicle, and then they're going to say it all came from, there's all kinds of things that can happen.
Right.
Well, and that's why you have insurance, so you can handle it the right way and
Right.
take care of it. Yeah.
So definitely call the police, because it just doesn't happen. So, okay.
And take photos.
Oh,
we
yes.
keep
Yeah.
take photos. That's the next thing. Constantly take photos of the incident, because when it does come around and they try to turn it back onto you, you have the evidence to show. And police, with my accident, I even went back and tried to change the police report, and the response I got was, "I'm not going to change it. Let your insurance fight it out." Great. So now I have a police report that shows that it was my fault. So
So I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to just do two quick
Yeah,
ones.
sure,
Okay.
right.
Get the other people's information. You don't want to wait till the police report comes out, and at the very least get their name, their insurance company, and their policy number, and in the name and contact information for any witnesses. And regarding the damage to your vehicle, you can take it to any shop that you want to. You cannot be forced to take it to an approved shop.
Right.
Find out if you have a body shop that you trust, get them to give an estimate to you. And then if it's totaled, get them to tell you what they think the blue book value is. That's an old term, what the actual cash value is. And you can also go online to Blue Book. What did you tell me it was called now, Brian?
KBB.
KBB.
Yeah. Kelly.
And do your own.
Kelly Blue Book.
Yeah, and do your own. And that way, when they're ready to make a deal with you, you know what's fair.
Okay.
And so that's our advice.
How do we get a hold of you?
Okay, you can call us at 940-549-2525. Come see us, second floor Sierra Bank, or visit us online, www.bryanins.com.
Brad Bryan, Sonia Edwards.